Hey, how you doing? December 19th.
Hey, yeah.
Oh, good over there?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, you're just on the other valley from me, so it's not like it's, you're on the side of the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a half an hour walk across the mountain or a half an hour drive by car.
Hang on. Only like a super athlete can make it to your place from my place in half an hour.
Oh, come on.
Took me 2 hours or something, 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but that's you, dude.
That's true. I'm getting a bit old, but I'm okay with it. Anyways, hey, who we got with us today? All right, Giandrea, Cor from Holland, Vladimir, Privyet. All right, we got people rolling in. Last episode of the year, a week before Christmas, kind of winding things down. I noticed this morning when I get that pop up on what happened in history. A couple of interesting things. So Dickens published a Christmas Carol on this day. Yeah, I didn't know that. And one of my favorite, kind of heartwarming singers, Edith Piaf, was born.
Oh,
that's lovely. And one other thing too, Apollo 17 returned to Earth, coincidentally, at the same time Bitcoin did. So,
really?
Yes.
Oh, in terms of it crashing last night?
Yes. That was the best I could do, just thinking.
It's not bad though. I'm disappointed. I always thought that these this day in history came out of your memory, but now you're telling me you're reading it from the internet.
Yeah. Like I had some sort of an app thing that pops up and it just shows, some things of interest. And sometimes I look at it and sometimes I don't. But no, how can I remember all that stuff? Yeah, I'm pretty smart, Richard, but I'm not that smart. So we have some interesting things to talk about today. We had some great price action, not only in the last 2 months, but since yesterday. Obviously, we had the FOMC. Got a lot of background noise on you, Richard, there.
People.
I think it's that your wife is.
So she's always on at me.
On the phone. Well, I'm pretty sure she's on the phone and not at you, but that's okay. What was I going to say? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
Anybody who's new, check out in the chat. Of course, you can save 10% on deribit fees using that link. And we've had some chats about fees in the past, and some people were saying that was 50% of their profits in some cases. They can add up if you trade heavily, so you can save yourself 10%.
I've told this anecdote before, but when I was trading FTSE 100 options, I made myself £1 million in a year. And I also made my broker £1 million that year.
Yeah.
That's just sometimes the way it is.
Yeah. And that was back in the old days when £1 million meant something.
So that was real money back then. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. All right. You can see my screen. Yep. You can see it, right? Please tell me. Hello? Somebody? Are we frozen? Richard, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Oh, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know if I froze up there. I didn't hear anything. So, all right. So, before I get into Bitcoin, let's take a look at something else. The S&P.
Oh, man.
And it's funny because, this is all the post-election games were all given up. That was a big drop. Of course, the Fed said, hey, Bitcoin, we're not mandated to do that, but as we talked earlier, Powell's probably get the boot anyways. But one other thing I was talking, because we've been talking about this going short.
Man, look at that VIX. We need to be selling strangles on the S&P, dude.
Yeah. I'll get there in a sec too, because there's something interesting. Because we've been harping about going short the S&P, but who knows when it's going to really start moving down? It could be days, weeks, months, years. I don't know, right? But the other thing we said is go short the S&P and go along the VIX. And look at that. That is the second largest spike in history.
Wow.
In the VIX one day. Yeah.
There's trouble ahead, right?
Yeah, there could be trouble ahead. Now, I mean,
you don't get a spike like that unless it's a precursor of something coming, of more vol coming.
Well, that could be it. And so this is, buy the dip. Or more specifically with the S&P or Bitcoin things, is this a buy the dip or is this a precursor of greater down movement? And that's the case. We can see pre-market, it's down about 7 handles from up where it was. But yeah, so you're saying what? Sell some strangles?
I think you could start selling. You could start scaling into short strangles on the S&P, yeah, or on condors, yeah.
Well, we do know that the VIX elevated vol never lasts too long. Just got to outlast it and make sure you keep your margin in check.
Yeah, exactly.
So interesting stuff. One thing I will talk about here with actually, I did take a look at like MicroStrategy. Okay, yeah, that's what I would have expected, really.
It's funny, isn't it? Because so you've now got the S&P behaving like a meme stock, and you've got meme stocks behaving like actual stocks. It's a bizarre world.
Indeed. Here, let me get rid of that and just talk a little bit about this. I mean, you know, when I say the Apollo 17 came back to Earth on this day way back, and so did Bitcoin. Well, did it really? Let's think about this for just a moment. So here we are in November. We're kicking along and thinking, geez, I think this thing's going to go up. And I will give kudos to Andre, one of our silver members of the Road Trader Academy. He was saying in the spring and in the early summer, he said, no, it's going to be a quiet summer. It's going to start going up later in the autumn, maybe not even September, maybe it'll be October, but it's going to start moving. We're going to hit $100,000 by the end of the year. And damn, was he right on. I'm just paraphrasing and summarizing. But look, November 5th up to the top here. I mean, that's over 60% gain.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's in, you know, what's that, 43 days. So that is quite amazing. But if we want to put things into a little different perspective in terms of this crash, I mean, all we need to do is say, okay, all right, here we are going up. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? This is exactly where I would expect it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could have had this line more like that. Sure. I mean, these things are never exactly spot on, but plunged through it, came back up, hit it. So is this going to carry up now?
So what you're saying is we're going to expire the year at 108 to 110, which would be Goldilocks for my book.
You're reading that into it because that's what you want.
I definitely want to see that. Yeah,
it could be. Now, if this breaks and it holds under here, I would expect maybe we'll come back down to, you know, this area down here. I wouldn't be too surprised if that happens. Now, I think that could take some time, but if this holds and hits it, we could just keep bouncing up along this line for some period of time. And for most of our trading strategies where we're trading vol and we're selling vol, that's perfect. You know, a slow continual rise or movement up is
did you say we've had 60% up since November?
Well, if I put the little calculator on here, this is what, November 4th.
November 4th, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I've been short vol through all of that.
Yeah.
And I should have lost money, right?
No.
But in actual fact, I made money all the way through it by being short vol. That's how badly priced everything was.
Yeah, and that's experience too. I mean, you weren't just, you know, nakedly blind, you know, selling calls and getting hammered and selling again.
Yeah.
But
still, I mean, by rights, I should have got hosed.
Yeah, and put sellers should have done well too, going up. Hence the synthetic miner.
What I've learned about selling puts on prop in Bitcoin is that you don't really want to be doing it on weeklies. You want to be doing it on monthlies because you want to give yourself time to get out of trouble. There's a kind of a trade-off here, right? Because you want to get paid quickly, but the trouble is you never get paid if you do it super close because you always get in the money and you always have to roll and it's all a mess.
And if you do it too far in the future, we just don't seem to get that time decay like you would if you're trading the S&P. Everything collapses, so you've got to find that happy medium.
Because the trouble is your time is decaying, but you're moving into higher and higher skew. So your option will not decay just until the last minute, and it all just evaporates if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Positive
inflows again, as always. Overall, it's just, you know, day after day after day, and you know, we can talk about that going into 2025 because, you know, we're going to talk about the year in review a little bit and what we expect during Christmas and into 2025. I was just taking a quick look at the liquidation heat map. Obviously, we pounded through a lot of liquidity yesterday. We'll take 1 week, and I'll take a look at 1 month. Look, there's a lot of liquidity here that really got blasted through. Are they done covering and hedging or adjusting their positions? I don't know.
There's not a lot left. There's a bunch left down at 90, but
down at 90. Yeah. Coincidentally, it's funny. I did have. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. I did have orders to buy futures, down around this area, and I had some at 100K, which got hit. I never expected that. But when I thought about it, I thought, well, I should have expected that. I mean, it's no different than this, no different from this or this. It's just Bitcoin being Bitcoin, right? So put those orders out, and a lot of times you'll get those fills.
I had a client send us $1 million when the market was up at like 107, 106, 107, and he said, let's convert it to Bitcoin at 104, 105. I thought that'll never happen. So I put the orders in, and lo and behold, blam, it's all Bitcoin.
That's why you messaged me if you're going to hit down there. And what did I say? I said it depends on the Fed.
Yeah,
I think that there's a good chance.
But the Fed didn't do anything particularly egregious, right? All they did was speak the truth, which is, well, okay, we're going to lower rates just to appease you, and we probably won't lower them much more because, frankly, there's inflation. I mean, what were people expecting?
I don't know. Everything was sort of in line with what everybody always thought. So, when that last thing I mentioned,
sorry, but that makes me think that the sell-off was nothing to do with the Fed at all. It was just that the market was waiting for an excuse to unwind.
It could have been, and we can see that those are normal price patterns for Bitcoin anyways. I mean, there's nothing too outrageous about that. And, maybe it was time. Maybe it's time for us to go sideways for a bit in a $10,000 channel for a month or two.
Do you imagine how much money we'll make if that happens?
It'll be magic. All the hodlers are like, damn you guys, no, keep going up to 1 million. Back in the world of reality. Oh, I can see lots of altcoins are doing quite well right now too, which is nice. Yeah, I'll try not to get too distracted from it because I know we're on a call, but at the same time, you got to make money while the sun shines.
Yeah, because some of the viewers may not know, but Shane and I trade altcoins, shitcoins now and again when we feel we have an edge.
We do all kinds of things. We don't discriminate. If it's an asset that moves, it'll make us money. We'll trade it.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, at the end of this 30 minutes or near the end, we do have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please put it in the Q&A section of the chat. What I will say is, if you have questions about maybe what happened in the past, your trading account or strategies or things that worked or didn't work for you, and you want some discuss that or have some thoughts, then go ahead. Or, of course, you want to share your own predictions on what might happen in the coming months and years, then please feel free to do so. What else we're going to talk about? Did you want to say something about going through the holidays?
What was the topic of the episode?
It was the year in review and looking forward to 2025.
Oh, well, the year in review, it's been a great year.
Tell ya.
Really happy with that year.
And we took some beatings.
Yeah, we did.
In August.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, do you want to share the SynthMiner?
Let me just.
Yeah. I updated our numbers. So there's an account for those of you who don't know. We started back in March, end of February, early March. So it's been like 200 and something days. And it was basically to try and see if we could outperform the people who are mining Bitcoin. So can we accumulate more Bitcoin? Can we increase the value of the account? How much can we do it by? We started off with about 5,000 or maybe just slightly less than that. And we're mostly selling put spreads, but we do have a ratio of 3-to-1 short puts to 1 call, which we try and keep that average in. So
the SynthMiner currently sitting on, what's the NAV, 0.1029 bitcoins.
Mm-hmm.
We started at the beginning of the year with half a bitcoin, didn't we? Oh, sorry, 0.05 or 0.06.
Yeah. And I will say we're not back up to our high water mark. We're just shy of it. And that was probably in July before the market took a 30% dump in August.
And we just stood in the way, didn't we? Rather than, I think that was my fault. I think I said, screw it, it's not going to go down that much. And I was wrong.
Well, I don't remember, but 2020 hindsight in trading, you can never beat yourself up about it. But what I will say is that we've recovered most of that from our previous, from the high water mark. So we're obviously up, and I think our US dollar value is up. I updated that earlier today. So
nice. Okay, here's a graph.
Yeah, that's up as of a couple hours ago.
All right, so the left-hand chart is our Bitcoin value. So we're up sort of 25% in Bitcoin, and the right-hand chart is our dollar value. So we're at close to all-time highs on dollars. And the red dotted line is what would happen if we'd hodled. So we've beaten hodling with this super simple, dumb strategy that is, shouldn't really work, but does.
Why shouldn't it work? It works fine.
Because there's no risk control. There's no, we're just pretty much dumbly selling puts and chasing the market up, and you'd think we were going to get hosed. Well, we did get hosed down from 40% up down to 20% down, 25% down.
Yeah.
But look at the speed at which it recovers. Mental.
Yeah, it is. And for all those people out there wondering, you guys are, what are you doing? Selling naked? Well, no, we're almost always doing it as a spread. Now, sometimes the spread's pretty wide, to maximize the theta decay, but
and
it just prevents against the black swan, really.
We're hoping. You know what? When we look at this graph, this super steep area here is where we were going a bit degen to recover. Yeah. But it almost makes me wonder whether we should just do that anyway. You see how it's flattened out because we've now become more risk averse because we're sort of getting close back to where we were.
Yeah.
If we just kept on the pressure and kept the margin use at 80%, and yeehaw,
But hang on, we weren't running the margin that high on that way up, were we? In this account?
No, we weren't actually. No, we weren't. We were just. I think we were just taking a bit of a directional view, and saying it'll, keeping it a slightly positive bias, and
selling 3 puts to 1 call is pretty directional, isn't it?
Yeah, and we were selling puts a bit closer to the money than we might have otherwise done. So we were taking in more than 10 bips a day, I think.
And that is during a big market rise, and a lot of times we had calls in trouble on that way up. We were just adjusting and moving on the way up. So. And on my prop books, I had the same thing. I've been short strangles all the way up this massive, 60% move up, and you just got to stay diligent. Keep on rolling, keep on splitting and rolling, split roll, 1 by 2, 1 by 3. Turn calls into strangles, roll strangles out. Just keep on doing it, and as long as you're always moving from low vol to high vol, you make money. Yeah. It's tiring. It's emotionally tiring, but it makes money. Yeah, in a long grinding market. Is that your dog barking?
Yeah, someone's put the dog outside, and it's
jeez. Okay, all right. Yeah,
shut up.
Now we do have a quick question here, Sylvanus. Kindly explain in simple terms what Saylor is doing with Bitcoin versus MicroStrategy stocks. So I know you like to talk about this stuff. What type of trade is he executing? It's right up your alley.
It's kind of like a cross between a legal Ponzi and a leveraged bet using other people's money. So the long and short of it is that he's getting people to pay him $2. He's spending $1 on Bitcoin and keeping $1 for himself. Is pretty much what he's doing, and people are happy to do it because they somehow see value in him doing it for them rather than doing it themselves. Now, he would argue that he's sort of sucking volatility out of Bitcoin and using the unlimited money supply of the market to fuel it. And he's right while Bitcoin's going up, and while interest rates are cheap, and while people are willing to play the game. But there is going to be a bag holder, and it's going to get horrible and messy. And I suspect he'll end up going to prison. And not because he's doing anything illegal, but just because he's getting away with it, and the powers that be will not tolerate people, pissing with the system that much. And so I suspect they'll make a retrospective law and then chuck him in jail or kill him. Or get rid of him. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I do. I don't want to be long MicroStrategy stock just because of all of that, the long tail risk that's associated with this trade.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think if you want to make shit tons of money with high risk, buy meme coins. Why mess about with the SEC?
Yeah, I actually didn't look either to see what the vols were like on MicroStrategy. I should have looked.
Oh, it's mental. I think it trades with. I looked at it. I looked at selling a risk reversal on it because I figured you could sell like the $600 call, buy the $400 put, and buy MicroStrategy, and you'd be in the money whatever happened. And sure enough, that happened. And the vol was like 120 vol. It was double Bitcoin. So basically, because they are essentially a leverage bet on Bitcoin, then the vol is about double, right?
Yeah.
But there's extra opportunities there because, of course, the options on MicroStrategy stock are American style. So if there is a sudden move, like a wick, you could, if the market's open, you could capitalize on that to crystallize a position.
Yeah.
But I'm not. Look, I have to be careful what I say here because a lot of people have made a lot of money on MicroStrategy.
Sure.
Not least Michael Saylor himself, and not least his fellow directors, who are, by the way, avidly selling stock while everyone else is buying it. I'll just throw that out there, because people are people, right? And power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I smell a rat, but that's just me.
Well, I guess we're going to see what happens during the year.
Yeah.
All right. MicroStrategy is its own thing for sure. And I haven't jumped in. I haven't been brave enough. And I don't know. Well, Vladimir thinks he's just selling calls.
Well, he is because he's selling convertible bonds. So the bonds essentially lose you money unless Bitcoin goes up to the point where you exercise your inherent call in the bond and then convert to stock. The trouble is that by converting to stock, you're diluting everybody. And I think Saylor is only going to do bonds from now on, he said, but he was issuing stock and bonds, so he was diluting people. So you were buying in leveraged Bitcoin, and then you were getting diluted, and then you were, and it all goes up because it goes up for the same reason that Pepe coin goes up, right? Because people like it, not because it has any intrinsic value. Not that particularly matters for the past 20 years, but I think it will again.
I'm going to put you on the spot then and say, what do you think we're going to see then in 2025 with Bitcoin?
I don't see how it can't grind up when the likes of BlackRock are buying 4,000 Bitcoins a day. I mean, just that alone, ultimately in the end, has to win over market forces, unless we have a depression. And it's a long tail. But if we have a depression and people run out of money, then they won't have time for these stupid games. They'll be too busy trying to buy food, and I think it's probably inconceivable for many people to imagine a world where people can't afford food because we've been so rich for so long. Credit's been so easy that it's just normal for an entire generation, even almost the whole of my life. It's just been so easy to get credit. I mean, I first started trading by making spread bets on horses and jockeys on the horse races in the UK using a 0% credit card as my collateral. And then I got into
not financial advice.
and then I started trading options as spread bets, and the brokers would lend me money at 0% to use as margin. I mean, that's how degenerate the world was back in 2000. It's even more degenerate now, right? And this is the entire career of some people. This is normal.
Yeah.
But this is not normal. This is a result of, I guess, the US winning the Cold War and being able to print money at will, and the rest of the world having to suck it up. But that's changing slowly. The world isn't accepting that anymore. China, Russia, BRICS, even the French and the Germans are starting to sort of whinge about the abuses of the US. And then eventually the world's going to push back, and then money isn't going to be free.
Interesting times. Speaking of that free money, those people long in gold have been really loving it. I saw it did take a bit of a drop yesterday. But nothing.
No, wonderful. I'm stacking as much gold as I can get. So I'm like I am to gold what the Bitcoin maxes are to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Because I think the central banks, the heads of state are all, not the heads of state, the people in the various governments of countries around the world are now saying, why don't we do a Bitcoin strategic reserve and outcompete the Americans and all that, right? I think that's a distraction. I think they'll all say, let's do it, and then they'll all forget about it when more serious stuff comes up. But what no one is going to do, and particularly countries in the East, they're never going to give up their gold ever again, and they're only ever going to stack gold, and they are continuing to stack gold.
I think I saw an article headline yesterday talking about China accumulating gold 10 times more than what they're publicly disclosing. They're secretly accumulating as much as they can. I know Russia's accumulating a lot too.
They're sucking all the liquidity out of COMEX and London bullion markets.
Yeah, I do have bids layered in. If gold wants to take a dip down, I'm happy to buy it. I'm employing the same strategy with Bitcoin. If it wants to take a big drop and go another 20% or something, fine. I'm happy to buy it and ride those up and down waves. I also saw some currencies were really affected yesterday too. The Kiwi US dollar took a big hard spike. There's a bunch of currencies. Yesterday, it just seemed like there was a lot of shockwaves that went out. There wasn't just Bitcoin, because normally I'm seeing these things kind of isolated. It's a little silo, but it seemed to have a broad market effect.
What's the yen doing?
I don't happen to have a yen chart at this moment.
That's interesting. It went down yesterday
against the dollar.
Yeah, I guess. I haven't looked, but I bet the bond markets are pricing in higher rates in the US. I saw an article this morning that they're expecting the first 6% mortgage rates in the US for 20 years next year.
Wow,
that's going to hurt people.
Yeah.
I
think I told you the story when I was young. My dad had a mortgage in the early 1980s, and his mortgage payment was around 18%.
Yeah,
that was just the rate then.
Yeah, my first flat, my apartment, if you're in the US, I had to pay 7.5%, and then I sold it just before the rates went up to 15.
Yeah. And I also remember there was a utility, like government-owned utility companies. They were issuing bonds that were paying over 20%. Just absolute madness. Vladimir says, a strategy which I'm implementing also. My bank allows me to use 0% credit for 60 days. I'm selling puts if I have to execute them. I'm buying Bitcoin with credit money and then start selling calls again, the Bitcoin paying back interest for my bank.
This is epic levels of degeneracy. I love it. I approve. Yeah, absolutely. If you and particularly if you can protect yourself against bankruptcy, and then use the man's money against him, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Now we have a mutual friend who lives in a different country, and he had mentioned, like when Bitcoin made its first run to 100K, he had mentioned that he took a mortgage to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin went up, he paid everything off, and basically bought a free villa.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, if you remember, I won't mention any names or anything, but it's like in 1 year, a free villa.
Yeah. Well, we do live in strange. There's going to be fortunes made and lost. There have been in 2024. I'm looking forward to 25. I'm sure there will be again. So we're now being asked questions on here about MicroStrategy. People like my brother or sister or brother-in-law are going to start asking me, what should I do with MicroStrategy? And of course, I'll simply tell them nothing. But but the fact they're asking means that people are waking up and thinking, oh, there's value here, I can get it, and that's just going to bring a river of tears to the stock market, to the crypto markets everywhere. It's going to be epic.
Yeah, and when people are buying a effing banana duct taped to a picture for 10 million and then eating it, you know we're in. This is like watching Caligula, right? The end times is here.
It's like mooning the gods.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Like daring them to hit you with a lightning bolt, right?
That's right. You know what's funny? This is a personal little story. I remember once I was at a wedding way back when I was prop trading, and I was getting a little bit too much sauce, and I made some bold statement that someone was talking about trading or having a hard time, and I boldly declared, "There's no way I'd ever make less than 10,000 a month trading. That's stupid. That's chicken feed." Yeah. About a year later, boy, I got hammered. And I'll never forget that. At the time, it just felt wrong to say that. It was like the proverbial fur coat.
Yeah, your conscience pricks you as you say it, right? Yeah, we've all done it once. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, hey, we're at the near. Just to sum up, Richard thinks we're going to see a grind up. I do too. I think there's going to be little. Of course, there's going to be little dips and valleys, spikes along the way as different, little bits of news come out. And as we mentioned, everybody's talking about their own sovereign Bitcoin fund. We see governments, we see states talking about it. Like a state says they're going to start their own fund. These things are going to happen. The Trump administration is going to come in if he survives until inauguration and shortly thereafter. We've got these weird drones falling over. It's this weird story where the military says, "Oh, it's no problem, but we're going to shut down airports because it's." Like something's going on. They tried to kill him twice by shooting. They couldn't do it. So maybe it's going to nuke him, or who knows what's going to happen. Yeah. And I say that tongue in cheek, but I'm also being a little bit serious. There's a lot of lunacy out there. A lot of people have a lot to lose. So I think we're going to have a grind up in the market too. I'm hoping for some decent sized pullbacks. Hopefully, it won't be 30, 40, 50% because those will. If you're not in the market, those will be a godsend. But when you're in the market, of course, you've got to deal with that pain. But I wouldn't be surprised to see us go north of 150 this year, maybe even 200 by the end of the year. Who knows? A year's a long time in the crypto world. Yeah. It's like dog years, right? So I think we're good. So I think that's it, everyone. This is our last show for the year. And I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and have a great holiday. I've been spend some great time with family and friends. And
first of all, enjoy it. Yeah, take your winnings off the table. Enjoy yourself. Never risk more than you can afford to laugh about losing, and I mean it.
Yeah. Enjoy your life.
If you're trading Bitcoin, you're trading a 70 vol asset. If you're trading shitcoins, you're trading a 200 to 300 vol asset. You do not need leverage. You will make enormous amounts of money. Don't leave yourself. You'll never blow up.
Fantastic. So for everyone who tuned in this year and watched us and put up with our nonsense, thank you very much. And hey, let's have a profitable 2025. See you later, everyone.